The Amyet S8. This is a bike that I think is pretty underrated. It's a dual motor bike from Amyet, and it's probably one of the cheapest dual motor bikes that you can get. It's definitely the cheapest one that I've found. It's got full suspension, got a pretty big battery, front and rear 1500 watt hub motors. This thing is an awesome bike, and I'm really surprised that it didn't get more attention like the Ridstar Q20 and bikes like that, because this thing is really affordable now, and it's got a lot of power, and it just accelerates so fast. So let's go ahead and get on this thing, give it a ride around, and I'm gonna give you guys a little bit of an update on this bike. So as you can see, we're doing a little bit of off-roading here, and I've owned this bike for about a year and a half now. I've got about 715 miles on the odometer here, and I've ridden the heck out of this thing. This is a bike that I was really, especially when I didn't have too many e-bikes, this is a bike that I would gravitate to. This was pretty much the one that I would take when I would go out on rides. There was a time when I had this, my Ridstar Q20, and my EUY bike S4, and between those three, I would always be on this bike, and anybody that I would take out on rides would have to ride one of the other two. But this one is really awesome. It's a pretty good off-road bike. As you can see, we just hit a massive pothole there, and it ate it up pretty good. Now, the rear suspension on this thing is interesting because it's both firm and soft at the same time. Really, when you go over a bump, it's like, it helps it dampen it a little bit. You see a lot of like travel in the spring, but it still like jolts you. It just jolts your body. It's so weird how this rear suspension is. But overall, this is a really comfortable bike. The front suspension absorbs the bumps well. The back works really good still, even though it is a little bit bumpy. I'll just go down this hill here to show you guys the benefit of having a dual motor bike like this one. So we'll just go up here, floor it. And the only problem that we're having with getting up that hill is the fact that there's not a whole lot of weight over the front motor. So you have to sort of lean forward to put some weight on that front motor so that it grips. Upgraded this with some CST Scout tires. Hopefully you guys can see that. But yeah, some CST Scout tires here because the tires that it came with were the typical cheap knobby. Man, this thing just wants to go. The tires that this thing came with were the typical cheap Chow Yang knobby tires, and they were good off-road and everything. They were perfectly fine tires for just, you know, an e-bike. But the problem with this is the way this controller is programmed is it just spins the wheel off the line. So I actually wore that front wheel out quicker than the rear wheel, the rear tire, that is. So my front tire was like bald in the middle almost, and then my rear tire had some meat on it. But I ended up having a tire pop a while back, and so I just replaced one of my other bikes. I replaced the tire with that one, and then I just decided to get some nice CST Scout tires on this. The CST Scout tires, by the way, are one of my favorite e-bike tires that I've ever checked out. CST makes really good high quality tires, and these are almost like motorcycle moped tires. They're really thick. They're kind of hard to install since they're so thick, but the tread's really good on them. You've kind of got this like square tread on them too. It's a really interesting design how they have the tread on these wheels or on these tires. It's like this kind of square blocky tread, so it's not really the best for off-road like this. You're probably going to want some true knobby tires. Here we go, burning out. You're probably going to want some true knobby tires if you're going to be actually off-roading this thing at all. But the CST I got because I mainly take this on the road, and it's going to give you some good flat protection too, since the tread is a lot bigger. So this really is a great all-around bike. You can definitely take this on some light off-road stuff like this. Really, it's not the power that holds this bike back, it's the suspension on this thing that holds it back as far as off-roading goes, because it really beats you up if you're going fast over some bumps. So it's definitely more tuned for the street. And the thing is, this has dual rear shocks in the back, so if you wanted to replace them, it's going to be twice as expensive because you have to replace 2 shocks. So theoretically, you could throw air shocks on here, but there goes the squealing front tire. Theoretically, you could put air shocks on here, but you know, you'd have to spend a lot of money. I don't think it'd be worth it. So just coming from a dead stop here, every time it burns out like that. And these tires really screech when you take off. They're a pretty sticky compound for a bike tire. They squeal like a car or a motorcycle tire does when you take off the line like that. This is a quick bike. I love how fast this thing accelerates. So the fastest I ever got this up to was, I think, like 33 or 34. We're going uphill now. We're going about 29, 30 on here. The thing about this bike is it's not even really that much faster of a bike compared to like a regular single motor bike as far as just straight line speed. But it's the acceleration that you get because you have that front motor helping you out. So you accelerate a lot faster. And the first few times I rode this bike, I was just blown away with how well this thing accelerates. You know, it really feels awesome being able to accelerate off the line really quick. And it's nice if you're going to be taking this thing in traffic because you're going to be able to keep up with traffic when you're coming from a stoplight or something. The top speed isn't that much higher than most other e-bikes that are 48 volts with similar specs, but it's just the acceleration and that sensation that you get with a bike like this that's really awesome. And swapping out tires and wheels on this thing isn't that easy since it is a dual motor bike. You have to take out that front wheel with the motor. It's just heavier, and you know, you got to disconnect the cable and stuff. It's not hard, but it's just an extra few steps that you got to take in order to take the wheel off. If you got to switch a flat out or something. The brakes on this aren't bad, but they're not the best hydraulic brakes ever. They're DY Island, and you might have heard other reviewers say that they're not the best hydraulic brakes, but they're also not the worst. They're a million times better than cable brakes. Like the DY Islands just don't have the bite of something like a Tektro or like Gamma brakes or something like that. But I mean, for a bike that's now I think around $1,000, like they are perfectly fine. There's a lot of value that you get out of this bike for the money. I bought this back when it was like 12 or 1,300 bucks, but now the price came down over the past year, and it's really even more affordable now. This is a no-brainer for $1,000. If you want an e-bike, even just a bike for around $1,000, I would definitely pick this bike up specifically because I don't think you can really find a better deal on a bike around $1,000. Full stop, whether it's single or dual motor. So I really haven't had any issues with this bike. The only issue that I did have was the DY Island brake. I think it was the front one. I had to bleed it and kind of refill the fluid in here because for some reason it was just sinking all the way down to the handlebar. And I knew that I looked down and I saw that the brake pad still had life in it. So I knew that the brake pad wasn't I didn't need to change the pads. So I figured it was probably the fluid. And one cool thing about these DY Island brakes is that they have an adjuster right here. There's a little knob. I don't know if you can see where my finger is at. There's this little knob right here on the brake lever, and you can adjust them and fine tune them so that you can get the feel that you want. It's kind of like on a cable system where you can adjust that nut on the back and it gives you a firmer feel on the lever. One of the criticisms that I have of it is it just doesn't feel like it's the highest quality bike. I mean, the frame and everything feels solid. The welds are okay on here. It's just, I don't know, it just doesn't feel like a super high quality, super well made bike. It feels fine. There's just kind of a lack of feeling of quality with this bike, which doesn't surprise me for around this price, but I don't want that to scare you away from getting this thing. It still feels totally fine. I've never had any issues with it, but you can hear the front brake is scraping right now. I've had squeaks and rattles on this bike, and the battery is kind of a little bit like wobbly here on the frame as well. And you know, it just isn't the best built quality on this bike, but it's still perfectly fine. It's still safe. I've never felt unsafe on this thing. Another thing that I don't care for on this bike is the headlight. The headlight is just super dim, so if you have this bike and you're planning on riding it at night, you're definitely going to need to buy a secondary headlight, which is nice because there's a USB port under the screen, so you can just plug in your secondary headlight and then plug it into the screen here. You don't have to worry about any battery at all ever, but the headlight on this thing is just not bright at all. It's okay, like it's passable at night. It's okay, but really there's definitely better, and you're gonna want something way brighter if you're gonna be riding on trails like this at night, because you're gonna wanna see ahead of you. And I tried to swap this headlight out with one of my other bike headlights. One that I swapped in was also dim too, so I don't know if this is sending out a full 48 volts to the headlight. Really, those are kind of my only gripes with this bike. I mean, otherwise it's a really, really solid bike, and I think it's one of the best e-bikes for the money that you can buy still. It's quick, it keeps up with my other bikes, keeps up with my Wired Freedom, up until about 30, 32 miles an hour. Keeps up with my Tudio. It keeps up with bikes that are similar wattage and even higher voltage. Like the Wired Freedom is a 60 volt bike, and this thing keeps up with it. In a drag race, it keeps up with it to like 30, 32 miles an hour. So for the money, this is just a super, super impressive bike. I really love pretty much everything about this. You know, you have a full package. It comes with full suspension. You have a 25 amp hour battery down there. You got dual motors, like you have plenty of power. Overall, it's just a really, really fun package. I think you're gonna be really happy with this thing if you do decide to pick one up. And after about 720 miles on this, I've had basically zero issues. Besides that tire in the front wearing out prematurely, I've really had no issues with this bike. It's been really, really awesome, and it's a comfortable bike. It handles well and everything. Another thing that I will say is that the seat isn't very comfortable on this bike. I would definitely swap that out if this was my only bike. I would definitely swap that seat out. It's hard as a rock. It's really not comfortable at all. The display is nice. It comes with turn signals too on the rear only. It comes with a loud horn. And then there's a little switch down here that's marked A or B. A is single motor mode, which is your rear motor only. And then B is obviously dual motor mode. You have your little headlight switch here. You have 7 speeds on here behind my phone. And it's not, this is not a pedal bike. The seat's really wide and it just doesn't feel good when you're pedaling this thing. So I never pedal this. But everything else on this bike is really solid. I really love this Amyet S8. It's one of the best e-bikes that I've ever ridden, and especially for the money. You know, it's a really good bike. I did buy this with my own money over a year ago out of my own pocket. They didn't send me this one. And I forgot to talk about my favorite feature of this bike. That is the fact that you can take somebody on the back of this thing. And since it's a dual motor bike, you have plenty of power to take a passenger with you. You can see we've got our foot pegs down here that fold them out. They fold out just like that, and they fold away when there's nobody back there. There's no room for a cargo rack on this bike, but you know, that's okay. I just ride these for fun. But yeah, I love the fact that you can take this bike out and have 2 people. Really hard to not burn out that front wheel when you're taking off on this thing. But yeah, I take my girlfriend on this thing all the time. She's about 5 foot and she fits on the back comfortably. I'm comfortably on the front driving the thing, and if you have a shorter rider in the back, you can absolutely have 2 people on this thing. You could have 2 kids. You could have you and your kid on here. It's really awesome for having 2 people on here, and there's plenty of power since you got dual motors on there. Plenty of power to go uphill like that. Really, the thing you got to be careful with on this bike is when you're going through corners and you accelerate, because if you're going slow, you can actually wash that front wheel out and then you could have an accident, which is not good. But you get used to it pretty quick. You kind of get used to how the throttle modulates and everything, and you get the feel for how to accelerate and all that. So I've had a few of these Amyet bikes and I've been really, really happy with them overall. I had the V9 G60, which is kind of like their entry-level moped bike. I no longer own that one, but I still own my S8, which I just love. This thing. It is an awesome, awesome bike. As far as range goes, it's actually really good considering that you have 2 really thirsty hub motors on this. I've gotten 30 miles of range on this thing and still had some battery left over. Right now I've been riding around for a few miles and it's sagging down, but we're still at about 49 volts on the screen, it's saying. So battery life's really good out of this 25 amp hour battery. Guys, I can't say enough good things about the Amyet S8. This is just an awesome, awesome dual motor e-bike. And if you're in the market for an e-bike around $1,000, this should be at the top of your list, honestly. It's a really comfortable, really practical bike since you can carry another person on the back. If you want to buy this thing and be able to take your kids around on it, like, this is just, it's awesome. It's a really, really great value and a really great e-bike. So if you want to pick this thing up, I will leave a link in the description to buy one of these. But we're going to leave it there for today, guys. That was the Amyet S8 after about 720 miles and a little over a year of ownership. This thing is awesome, and I hope that I get another few years out of this bike. I'm not going to get rid of this thing anytime soon. It's a really awesome bike. I want to thank you so much for watching, and I hope that you guys are out there enjoying your e-bikes and enjoying the summer and riding safe. All right, catch you guys later.